online for press kits. So if you go online and just search UK, like Netflix UK press kits, it'll take you to like their press room and it'll give you the public one. And then there'll usually be one that is for press. And you usually have to apply for it. And Netflix, you have to apply. And that means that effectively one day, we're live, you could get like the screenings and stuff. But anyway, we could talk about, I guess, during the show.
No, because then everyone will be doing it.
What we do? Okay, let's get your shit together. Timer. And record to this computer. Oh, it renamed me Cranky Dave. That's
good. You can be Cranky Dave. I'm happy Dave.
We'll
I'll be happy Dave, as usual.
Right.
I'm not cranky.
He's not cranky anymore. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your patience. Thank you for waiting. And thank you for being patient with my tardiness. My name is CJ, and I've got my compatriot here, Happy Dappy Dave. Welcome back to the latest, the greatest, the mightiest edition so far of the boys from Bossk. And again, I do apologize for keeping you waiting. And I actually managed to get through that without fumbling my words that time, or saying the global frequency. But I got through it. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome.
Your other show as usual, though.
Well, it is
I bet you don't advertise this show in your other show, do you? No.
Yeah, I do. I did it last show. I was talking about. We're going to talk about Lord of the Rings here. Always cross traffic.
Or
Gotta
Lord
keep
of the Rings.
Lord, yeah. Ladies and gents, again, thank you for joining us. Okay. I know it's been a long week for you, and it's Monday and your energy's down. So we're going to get you up a bit with some exciting news, information, and our all-purpose reviews. On this week's show, we'll be reviewing some stuff you might have seen, but hopefully, if you haven't decided to watch it, we'll confirm it for you. So we'll be reviewing the first 2 episodes of Lower Decks, Me Time, latest film from Wahlberg, and what's his name? Is it Kevin? I keep forgetting his name.
Kevin Hart.
Kevin Hart. House of Dragon, She-Hulk, C, episode 1, and The Rings of Power.
I haven't watched episode 2 yet anyway, so that's good.
You've what?
I didn't watch episode 2 yet.
Of Rings of Power. Oh, C. No. That's right.
Yeah. I'm not going to discuss that one. Yeah. Ring of
ladies
Power.
and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. My name's CJ. Let's go. In this week's news, Black Panther, Chadwick Boseman won a posthumous Emmy for What If. I think his episode was one of the more standout ones of that season, the first season of What If. And What If was one of my favorite comic books while it was going, but also which was a parody take on it all as well, which had Wolverine, instead of having knives, he had cutlery. But anyway, that's a whole different story altogether. But yep, he won an Emmy for What If. Did you enjoy the old What Ifs, Dave? Were you a fan of those? I can't remember what rating we gave those.
Yeah, they were okay. They weren't too bad. Could have been better, but they were good.
They weren't the only ones to walk away with awards during the Emmys. The Moon Knight and the Book of Boba Fett both took home Emmys. One for sound, I believe, and one for costume.
Had English accents.
I quite got used to his accent in the end. I still think he was a strange choice, but I got used to it. What do you mean, Mum? I thought it was all right. It was all right.
Terrible accent.
Moon Knight.
They all think we sound like Mary Poppins. That's the trouble.
Oh yeah, Mary Poppins. Oh, isn't she wonderful, Mary Poppins? I laughed. Why do I do that?
And they even think Van Dyke weren't even British. That made it even worse.
They were both recognised at the Creative Arts Emmys, those 2 ones. Moon Knight received an Emmy for Outstanding Sound Editing for a limited or anthology series or movie or special, while Boba Fett took home the Emmy for Outstanding Special Visual Effects in a season or a movie. So it did all right there. I know Boba Fett wasn't as popular with a lot of the Star Wars fans as a lot of other shows are, but I enjoyed it. I was all right with it. You know, it was Star Wars. It didn't really branch out from that. Huh?
It was watchable.
Yeah, it was watchable, but I can understand why people were a bit put off by it because, like I said, Star Wars fandom crosses a big, wide breadth. And unlike other franchises, I think a lot of the people who grew up with Star Wars want it to be a bit more hardcore now. And Star Wars the original is very light. It's very tame, to say the least. I mean, it's very much wish fulfillment in a lot of ways. Like it's a film about a farm boy who grows up, meets a space wizard, rescues a princess. I mean, I don't know how that's not one of the deepest of storytelling, is it really? But
Space wizard. I like that word. That's a good one.
Space wizard trains.
Maybe you could write your own story. Curtis and the Space Wizard.
And it's been repeated so many times, which brings me on to my next story, which, as far as I'm concerned, is an extended cut of the Death Star run in Star Wars, Top Gun Maverick. Now that film is a good movie, enjoyable movie. I've got no problem with it. There's no hate from me, but it's an absolute straight up rip off of Star Wars. But it works really well. It is a good one. What it was? How long was it? 2 hours?
We're just under, wasn't it?
Yeah, time flew by. It was nice seeing Tom Cruise seemingly enjoying being short as well.
Oh my god, yeah! I've just realised it is a rip-off.
Well, didn't you see?
The ending is exactly like the ending of Star Wars.
Yeah,
I didn't even get that until now. I mean, I just thought about
the whole thing. They've got to fly low, right, on a predetermined path.
Hit a small target.
Yeah. Get past the defense cannons and the missiles and all the rest of it.
Yeah, I just got it.
I literally a couple of meters wide. That's blatantly the scene.
When you said it was a rip-off, I was like, what the hell is he on about?
Well, I don't blame you, but it's just straight up like when I saw that, I was like, that's Star
I didn't even think about it when I watched the film.
And it's been a huge hit. One,
still
good. It's got Tom Cruise, and he's Tom Cruise, and I think it's the biggest movie of his career. It's his first $1 billion movie. His first movie that's hit $1 billion, or close to hitting $1 billion worldwide. It's knocked the Black Panther off the highest grossing domestic movie in the States. So it's now the 5th biggest movie in the States, and it's still in the cinemas. I'd say they did a good job. I don't hate it. I really did enjoy that film. I think I saw it with you in the cinema, didn't I, Dave?
Yeah.
And it was a hell of a good fun. I don't think it's a great movie. I certainly don't think it deserves to be in the top 10, like top 5 greatest movies of all time. But saying that at the same time, some of the most basic films have been in the top 10. Fast and Furious. You know, that makes a lot of money every time it comes out, and people can knock it all they want. I certainly have. But maybe that's what people need. Do you know what I mean? It was a franchise that's been gone for, what, 20 years?
Are you not entertained?
Huh? I can't deny it. I was entertained. But
there you go. That's the whole point of the movie business.
Star Wars. And
to entertain you, not to disappoint you.
I was a bit disappointed. And especially by the last 20 minutes of that film. The last 10, 20 minutes, I'm like, that look, you had me with your Star Wars ripoff, but that last 20 minutes, and I don't want to spoil it for people who haven't seen it, but I was just like, really? Are you really? But in thanks, like Tom Cruise really appreciates what you've done by going to watch that film if you have gone to see it. And how did he show his thanks, Big Dave? How did Tom Cruise, you imagine, show his thanks?
He gave us all our money back.
No, he got on a little biplane and he stood on top of the biplane and thanked everybody from the top of a biplane while it was up in the air. So he does a death-defying stunt to go, thank you to all debtors. Thank you for everything. I love you. My name's Tom Cruise. I'm crazy. Hey.
Better if he'd done a flyby past my house and give me the thumbs up.
Don't tempt him. He probably will.
Or
And
parachute from a helicopter.
He's a very clever at marketing, because what does this mean? His next film, Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning, is on its way. I think it's coming out next year. That film alone, just off the back of that, it's going to be huge. And as far as I know, so Dead Reckoning Part 1 is out on July the 14th, 2023. As far as I know, although all the Mission Impossibles have been like decent films, I don't think any of them have hit $1 billion or anywhere near it. I'll put money on it. This one does. What do you think? Am I betting up the wrong tree? Barking up the wrong tree. Okay, yeah. Well, that's all right. It's good.
Because you got to remember, right? When you hit the top, you can only go down.
Yeah, if
and he can't go any, he ain't gonna go higher. He ain't gonna go any higher than he is now.
I don't know. I think he might do it. It's Tom Cruise. Do you know
unless he buys all the tickets himself.
Tom Cruise has single-handedly saved cinema.
Well, you're gonna go and watch. Are you gonna go to the cinema and watch that
Mission Impossible?
Yeah.
Which one, Maverick or Mission Impossible? Dead Reckoning.
New Mission Impossible.
Oh yeah, next year. That's going to be a great summer film. I'll definitely be watching that.
I don't think I will.
Interesting. I think you will. I'll get you out there.
I don't think I will.
I'll get you out.
I don't think they're cinema films. I think they're at-home movies.
Mission Impossible
with the family. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. What, like daytime TV?
No, like evening Saturday movie, pizza and beer, chill out with your friends and family. You know, those sort of movies.
All right. Well, we'll see next year, listeners. You heard Dave. That's his bet. He won't get excited enough to go and see it in the cinema.
Oh, I definitely won't get excited enough.
But we'll see how it goes. Mission Impossibles. I never liked them until Mission.
Where you go. This is going to be your Mission Impossible, yeah.
Yeah, I never liked Mission Impossible till Mission Impossible 3. So it's certainly going to be a bit interesting to see whether it pulls us all in again. Now, as you do, moving on. Next
is that your Lord of the Rings accent?
Moving on. Save it.
Hey, was that your Lord of the Rings accent? Terrible.
In other news, but bad news, Warner Brothers cancels DC Fandom in favor of in-person events. So I think that means they'll be going to conventions more, but they will not be a Fandom this year. There was a Fandom 2 years in a row. Due to COVID, they did an online big event, which was in 2022? No, 2022 and 2021, due to COVID. But this year, they're not doing one. I don't know how well they worked. DC's going through a lot of upheavals at the moment. They've cancelled a hell of a lot of stuff. And it's going to be interesting to see what they replace this with, if they're trying to match Marvel.
CW fandom. Dun, dun, dun.
You criticize it all you want, but CW fans, if it wasn't for CW fans, I think an entire generation might have gone without knowing DC Comics. Because we've gone through a period where the films weren't particularly great, and actually, in many ways,
the TV shows weren't that good either.
Yeah, but they outclassed the films in a lot of ways, and they were getting characters out there. Like I wasn't a fan of Arrow, but Arrow introduced the Flash, Supergirl, the Legends of Tomorrow.
The Flash introduced the Arrow.
No, Arrow came out first.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, don't you remember that whole crossover? They did the Arrow, and then the Arrow.
I don't know. I couldn't stand the Arrow. Or Legends of Tomorrow.
No, but it had a big fan base, and I think
all I watched was Flash and Supergirl, and then they both got boring.
Yeah, but they were aimed at kids. Do you know what I mean? It was like you said, it was aimed at a certain audience, like teenagers. It was never aimed at us. Do you know what I mean? We were the boys. Do you know what I mean? That's who was aimed at us. It was never CW. That's why when I sit down watching Stargirl, I had to remind myself, this is not the boys. Do you know what I mean? This isn't Daredevil. Do you know what I mean? It's not got that sort of depth to it. Lots of kid going, I've got superpowers, what do I do with it? Right, so that's fandom done and dusted. Did you ever catch any of the fandom, Dave, or did you pass?
Because I'm not a fandom.
You're not a nerd.
No,
Yes,
I
it
did, I
is.
did look into it, but
Yeah,
I never actually looked into it when it actually happened.
yeah.
Because it was
No,
one
it's
of
fair
those. It's
enough.
like,
It's sort of.
oh, the fandom starts in a week, blah blah blah, and then
Mm.
it gets to the weekend and you get drunk.
God, I love you.
What's more interesting, sitting in front of a computer watching a load of nerds, or having fun with your friends and getting drunk?
Okay, fair enough.
Party over here.
All right, moving on. We've got in terms of Emmys, I forgot to mention Netflix Arcane. Now, Arcane came out, I think, last year. And I kept telling people this is
What's
fantastic
that?
animation. Arcane, League of Legends. Remember that one?
Oh, I remember Comic Con and everyone was dressed as Jinx.
Yeah. So that
Yeah, let's
came
go to
out
the Jinx
last year.
Con.
And Arcane was absolutely brilliant. The animation, I think, was of
No,
the
I
same
actually enjoyed
quality as
that.
Spider-Man into the Spider-Verse. I thought it was really well put together, really well presented, and had a really strong storyline behind it. And I think it worked. It was about something more than just the usual superhero fare. And I think, I keep saying I think I loved it. It won an Emmy for Outstanding Animated Program, and I think it thoroughly deserved it. So I know you enjoyed it as well, Dave. Anybody that I've got to finally watch it enjoyed it, but people were still like, "But it's animation," and you didn't have to know anything about League of Legends to want to watch it. So congratulations to the team over at Netflix. I know the second season of Arcane won't be out until maybe even next year or the year after. But I'm certainly looking forward to that making a
Is that
rival
because
at
they
some
didn't think it would be a success?
No, I just think the type of animation it is, it's very like
Well,
it
it's proper
takes a lot of
animation.
time to it takes a long time to do that type of animation than would normally
Well, that's
be
what I mean. They
expected.
obviously didn't think ahead, like halfway through. Oh, we might do a second series, so
Mm. Maybe.
or the budget wasn't there
Um
to do it.
in
To
other
see it,
news, the
you know what
shows
Netflix
that
is?
I
They cancel everything that's good. So
well, they just announced the cancellation of obviously Resident Evil, and I know a lot of people. I've said this before. A lot of people will blame the cast for its cancellation, but I think Resident Evil as a franchise just doesn't work outside of the games. It just doesn't. It's rubbish. It's stupid. Yeah, it doesn't make. You can't ground it. It's like the movies. After the first film, they dropped that plot so quickly. Your head span. It went Walking Dead after the
well,
first film. There
I
was
just
no.
didn't see the point. I didn't see the point of the Resident Evil franchise in the first place.
It doesn't. It just doesn't work, and people keep blaming like cast and the rest of it. But the story from the
The
core of
story
it
for the
isn't
game
a
is
very well
bad.
thought out. Yeah, it's not. It's and this is the thing that upsets me the most. They keep like the latest cast, and Netflix are out of order for doing this. If you're not going to get good script writers, don't just dump any black. Don't do that to black folks. Yeah, don't put them in the leading roles if you're not going to pay the script writers to tell a decent story. Because the moment, like the first episode was all right, the second episode was all right, the third, it just started going weird. And by the last episode, it's like you're meant to be invested in these characters and you weren't. And it just got a bit, it couldn't decide what it was, whether it was like The Walking Dead or like some straight up comedy. Because there's moments in there where it's straight up comedy happening. And it's like, what's going on here? So just don't do it. Don't, and the fans don't appreciate it. Like they tore this show to pieces after like seeing 5 seconds of it. In fact, even before it came out, they'd slated it. And I'm just saying, look,
Yeah, but you got to remember, right? This show came out just after a really bad cartoon version of it.
Yeah.
After a
Which
really
we
bad
reviewed,
version
didn't we?
of the last film that was really
Yeah.
bad. So it's like, come
Oh
on.
my God. Did you actually watch the film?
No, I haven't watched any of the
Right.
films.
Again, and I've said this and I'll say so, let Resident Evil die. The very fact we've got Walking Dead, and Walking Dead's got not one, not two, but 3, 4 separate shows out. They've cancelled this main one, and they've still got another 3 shows out, and yet we've yet to have one decent version of Resident Evil. Tells you everything you need to know about Resident Evil as an IP. Just let it die. There's very few franchises I'd say not even as much as I
It's
dislike
obviously
Fast and
very
Furious.
big in some country or some billionaire owns it.
I honestly don't know, but don't do that to any more people. Don't cast them in that show unless you've got some damn good script writers with a good idea. Because especially the animated ones are just embarrassing. And these black. Anyway, I'm not going to dedicate enough time to it. Anyway, moving on. Moving on. Avatar. It's getting closer. They've released some shots of the film via the press. I've only seen one. Again, I honestly don't know because we're in an age now where I don't know what it is with people. They'll see a clip of something and they'll rent it out. Like they'll go in for like an assassination.
No, but
squad.
some movies do work like that. Like yesterday
Mm,
evening, Ready Player One was on the TV, and I thought I'll sit
yeah,
down and watch the last 40 minutes of this.
yeah,
And the film to like digital is very clever.
yeah.
It's not like much like difference of like, oh, that's really bad animation and stuff like that. But then you got
Yeah.
other films that are really bad. I know
Mm,
it's probably because Steven Spielberg done it. It had the quality, but
yeah. Well, yeah. I honestly don't know if there's one. I don't know how you feel about Avatar. I don't. Have we sat down and discussed Avatar before? Probably.
I
Like, did
think
you
I
ever
probably
watch
only
the?
I watched it once in the cinema, I think.
Okay, so you never watched the animated series.
Well, I was disappointed because they was like, "Oh yeah, well yeah, it's all 3D, blah blah blah," and I'm like,
Mm.
"It's not."
But did you ever watch the animated series?
No,
All right. Okay. Right. You are perfect. Do not watch the animated, whatever you do between now and the film coming out. For me, the animated is probably one of the greatest childhood experiences that you could have in terms of child, like that period of animation. It's brilliant. One of the best storylines I've ever seen. It and Avatar have a lot in common in that it's got this big, expansive plot, but it's really good at the character stories and telling stories about people and feelings and emotions and pain and all that type of stuff. And what is essentially a children's show, and the film missed all of that. Apart from casting non-Asian people in the roles where they're at, and I still can't believe they've done that because it was M. Night Shyamalan who made the film, and in the animated, they're all mostly Asian characters, and they basically didn't select any to be in the actual movie, and that was the first thing that annoyed the fans. With the Netflix version, they've seemed to have cast everybody correctly, but we honestly, I've got no idea what it's going to turn out to be like. And like I said, the actual animated series is one of like you've got Dragon Ball Z. Like, did you ever watch Dragon Ball Z and that stuff, Dave?
sort of, not really. But
Well, it's like a bit.
I,
It's like in that.
when that
It's
came
in
out, that
that.
was like not my era of
Mm.
stuff.
What was your era of like Dogtanian? Did you hit that up?
Yeah, mine was like Dogtanian, Mask,
Right. So
Thundercats,
okay. So
Dungeons and
in terms of that,
Dragons.
it took the best of that type of animation or
Okay.
storytelling, the best bits of that storytelling, and that's where you end up with the Avatar, and it was absolutely brilliant. I think it's about 8 seasons long, and it's like each season's got 22 episodes. Absolutely brilliant animation, and then you get to the film, and it's like, are you mad, bruv? Like you're sitting down watching it, and it's like, are you for real? Like that's the best you could do, and I hope it doesn't end up like Resident Evil, but if it's Netflix, you never know. This is one of two big projects they're doing. This one's one of them, and then there's another one called One Piece, which I know is another anime, but I don't have much in terms of knowledge about it. But they're both coming to Netflix. I think Avatar's next year. I hope it's okay, Dave. I'm not getting my hopes up anymore because Netflix seemed to be able to launch really well and not hit the landing, as we'll discuss with one of their projects in a short while. But I don't know. I want you to be able to watch it, enjoy it, because I think you'd love it if they tell a good story. But I'm not getting my hopes up anymore. I'm done with getting my hopes up with Netflix. I really am. I just don't think they got too much money and not enough people who are good at writing there at the moment. And it's bad. It's really, really bad. And if you compare them to other streaming services, I'm like, if they don't sort that game out soon, they're going to end up like daytime TV. People will maybe get Netflix, but they've got a lot of better options out there. They're only beating other ones because they're starting up new and there's not much out there. So like Paramount doesn't have much, Apple doesn't have that much. But I'd say, how do you feel about it, Dave? The quality on Apple, I'd say, is much higher than on Netflix.
Quality of filming and script writing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 10 times higher.
Yeah. And that's a shame because, like I said, they've got
but
the
then,
money.
Is that because they put the budget into those? They only do so many shows a year. So
true, but I think
their movies ain't very good on Apple. They've done a couple of good ones, but that's about it.
Yeah, I think Netflix has more hits and misses. But the fact of the matter is, when Apple
or do they, or is it the fact they got so much content? It looks like they got more hits than misses.
No, I think they've got more misses than hits. Sorry, but when they do have a hit, it's good. Like your Umbrella Academies, Orange Is the New Black, Kimmy, whatever it was, Kimmy Schmidt. They have those sort of shows that will stand out.
Yeah, but then they cancel them.
Yeah, then they cancel them, and I would have given Resident Evil a second season because I think it just got abused, so much abuse. It was mad. But anyway, that's just my personal point of view. Take it or leave it. But you better believe it. No. But yeah, that's just, I think they need to up their game. Now, I think, now it's time for our reviews. From the screen to the couch. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our latest edition. Now, I don't know, what should we do? Actually, this is a small one I'll do first. I've started listening to lots of podcasts, and there's a podcast I started listening to that you might like. You can catch the first 4 episodes on YouTube, but it's coming to normal podcasts as we move forward. It's called Gun Dog. It's by Gary Whitta. And you don't know who Gary Whitta is, obviously not. But Gary Whitta is one of the people who wrote Rogue One. And I think this podcast has me already taken in. I've only listened to 3 episodes so far, and it's brilliant. If you can catch it, it's on YouTube. And basically it's about a girl who's in a world where basically Earth's been wiped out by aliens, but only got wiped out by aliens because they thought they'd be smart and attack the aliens. It didn't work out. We got wiped out. And the story is about her finding redemption for humanity. So that's called Gun Dog.
That's just called Endgame, right?
No, because Endgame's more like, humans didn't deserve that. The universe didn't deserve that. Be careful searching for Gun Dog online, though. Search for Gun Dog podcast, and not just Gun Dog. Nothing dirty comes up, but you get a lot of stories.
No, you just get a lot of little spaniels and stuff everywhere.
Yeah, because spaniels are apparently hunting dogs. I didn't know this. Right, so our first review up. I know I'll do the stuff that I watched, I guess. Or do you want to do, because you don't watch Lower Decks, do you?
No.
Or did you watch Lower Decks? All right, so Lower Decks is back.
Star Trek, isn't it?
It's Star Trek. It's as funny as it was in previous seasons. The cast all back together. It finished with a cliffhanger last season, but now it's all wrapped it up. Everybody's back. The storytelling's all right. I've got no problems with it. The animation is just the same. It's not trying to be Rick and Morty as much as it had been previously. And I don't know how they can keep saying it's canon. That show is not canon. But this season, obviously, we're getting a crossover with Strange New Worlds. I don't know how that's going to work. But yeah, you'll see strange and new things in it. But yeah, so far I've enjoyed the first 2 episodes. One's called Grounded, where they go on a mission to help Captain Freeman, who's been arrested last season. And the second one's called The Least Dangerous Game, where Mariner gets hunted. No, Boimler gets hunted by a strange predator type alien. But hey, it's Star Trek Lower Decks. It is what it is. If you like it, you like it. And yeah, I'm enjoying it so far. Next one up, I think we've watched everything else from here on in. So let's start with the latest edition of She-Hulk. Dave, how do you feel about the She-Hulk?
It's very hit and miss, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a little bit. I think overall I'm find it funny. I think
I think
it's
the
getting more-
slapstick comedy is just boring. It's not sort of like first person. Oh, what do you think? I think it's like, I don't know. I thought it was all about being a Hulk and smash.
No, that's the Hulk. I think She-Hulk's going more Ali McBeal.
You know, she like the power slap. Never seen
No,
that.
I think all that's coming later, and I don't think that's just me being
Super
hopeful.
jump.
Because remember, Daredevil's yet to make his appearance. I think you're going to see.
But they're going to rely on cameos from everyone.
No, I think all the stuff that Bruce said to her before he left is going to come back to roost, and I reckon she's slowly cracking up. And you're going to see her smash. You're going to see her lose the plot at some point.
And see her twerk and do everything else.
Which isn't a bad. It wasn't a bad thing to watch. I didn't mind the twerking. It was nice to see a little bit of dancing, a little bit of fun in Marvel.
Maybe I need to like just give it a break completely and just wait for it to finish.
No, if you don't like it, you don't like it. I think
I don't mind it, but it's not one of those I'm excited to watch. Oh, it's Thursday. I got to watch She-Hulk.
Well, true. I don't think it's been very much there, and there's been very little in the way of action.
Like with the others, it was like, I think it's Monday. I'm going to watch WandaVision, you know, or whatever. This is like She-Hulk. Doesn't grab
I hope it does pick up. I don't know how many episodes have got left, but I hope it does pick up as we go along. I think it needs to do a bit more, and it needs to. I don't know. It needs to be something a bit gripping. There's only hints of something bad in the background, and I think there's no harm in them maybe being a bit more obvious. Because I've got a really suspicious feeling
like the Abomination and Wong. You're like, oh yeah, Wong, Abomination. They're going to go through the whole breakout thing. What happened in Shang-Chi? Was it Shang-Chi it was in when they fought in the cage? And it was just like, yeah, I broke him out because I needed someone good to fight.
I did like the bit where, Mr. Wong, you illegally helped him escape.
Yeah.
I got to go now.
Yeah, so it's like, but we know where you are. You're in the bloody library, mate.
But he's a magician, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know.
Sorcerer Supreme. That's fair enough criticism.
I don't know if they're just trying to get Wong's contract out, saying like, you've done this, you've done your 10 things, now your contract's over, or
somebody said he is a new agent. Is common agent Samuel's friend in Avengers who gets stabbed. The agent.
I can't remember.
Who's in all the films. I can't remember his name. But the one he's a new version of that. So he's gonna pop up in every single film.
Mr. Cameo.
Keep popping up. Yeah. He's gonna be the new dude that holds it all together.
Yeah, but that character's really good. So it's like they just keep making a joke out of him. It's like, come on, man.
Well, I think they're hinting at the fact.
Get rid of Cumberbatch and keep Mr. Wong.
What's interesting is that Wong is always exiting somewhere in a Marvel film. Like he never come through a door at any point. He's always on his way somewhere. Like so in Doctor Strange, he's heading off somewhere. Don't use that spell. Walks off. Set.
Yeah,
and then he
the same in Shang-Chi as well, wasn't he?
Yeah, and he just seems to be doing that all the time. So that's quite interesting. But he is Sorcerer Supreme, so fair enough. Right, so yeah, I'm all right with She-Hulk. I've got no big problems with it. I think it needs to up it a bit. I know they're following the comedy format, but I've got a feeling, and this is only me guessing,
it's at a low 5 for me at the moment.
She-Hulk's probably going to end up in the same space that the Abomination is. Bronski's in, because I think she's possibly going to crack by the end of this season and go all lose the plot. I put money on that possibly happening, and but that's my guess. Don't quote me on that. I'm not willing to stake my life on it, but I reckon that's the case. Right, next up we've got the return of C. We've only seen again the first episode of that. So I'm not going to do a full review, but Dave, I want your initial impressions. I'll give my ones first this time. I don't mind C. I've enjoyed it. It took me a while to get into it in the first season, but after the first season, I've been gripped. But I have to say, with this season, everybody's annoying me. Like, everybody's turned into the most unlikable people, even more so than in previous seasons. There's a few scenes where I'm like, why is everybody being so annoying? And why do they keep doing things that are only going to annoy the situation even more? Now, that may not be the case for you, Dave, but I'm just like, they're literally winding each other up. Everybody's angry at each other. And it's like, you please stop.
Yeah, the
But
second season,
apart from that,
it really got me going. I wanted to watch every episode straight away. Next episode, next episode, next episode. And this one, I was like, okay, next episode's on, and I still haven't watched it.
yeah, and even with a massive threat on the horizon, just doesn't seem to. It seemed to have got.
I think it's because you had the big war and he's killed his brother, and
could be come down. Yeah, how do you peak that?
Well, it's
he
the
killed
last
his
season,
father,
so they got a
killed his
peak,
brother.
haven't they? So
Well,
maybe he's gonna kill his wife and his kids. I don't know. He just seems to like killing his family. So
I've had enough.
yeah, you lot can see. I'm gonna take out your eyes.
Yeah, do you know what, Dave? You might be right, and I think it might be getting just a bit too convoluted. There's too much going on. There's like a whole batch of characters who are like anti people with sight.
Maybe they should have done a couple of episodes, like the first 3 episodes, like they've done before, and then you can get into it.
Yeah.
But when you start watching season from straight away, it starts off slow, and you're like, "Oh, what happened in the season before? Let me try and think." And
yeah,
you got to reintroduce yourself to the characters again, haven't you? So it's like,
I'm gonna keep trying. I mean, I only just started season episode 2.
no, it might be really good. I haven't watched the second episode yet, so it might be better than the first one.
It and see if it builds up. At the moment, if I was to give it a score, it'd be something.
When he makes his best friend eat poo and stuff like that, it's quite funny.
Yeah. Making people eat poo is always funny. And that's the first time I've seen somebody actually make somebody eat poo on. That's
what I mean. So it's quite funny.
I think it's all right. It's going to be interesting to see when the next season goes. I mean,
well, there isn't going to be another season. It's the final season, so
I'm giving it. I'm going to. At the moment, it's round of 5. Obviously, I won't give the final score until the season ends. But yeah, at the moment, I'm not too taken with this season. It's a bit of a downer.
Well, it's not like the She-Hulk where it's had like loads of episodes. This is like 1 episode. So,
and all the characters are really annoying me. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to keep with it. But we'll see how it goes.
Like the old Queen and her voice. Hello, Curtis. And that baby's always on her tip. That baby's always on her nipple.
She had the most shocking scene in the first episode.
Yeah.
Like in the very first episode, like it was because they haven't really done anything. The show isn't overtly sexual, right? But yet, the very first episode, as she's having someone eat her out as a part of a sort of holy process, and it was shocking. But they've never really done anything like that again. And I'm like, it's just weird. Like, you have a royal punani eater. I don't know. It was just. We will now eat the royal pum pum. It was a weird moment, and it seems to have gone in a really strange direction. And the son's the most annoying character out of all of them. I think I can't handle him at all.
Well, he's just a drip, isn't
he? Yeah, I can't handle him at all. So moving on. So yeah, at the moment I'm down with 5. Now we've got 3 more left, and not a huge amount of time. So let's see. We've got.
Well, we can always skip Lord of the Rings.
We'll do. No, there's no skipping Lord of the Rings. We've got to face that one head on. Me Time. We'll do Me Time, and Me Time is Kevin Hart and Mark Wahlberg in a film. How do I describe this in a summary? It's a film about
slapstick comedy.
It's meant to be. It's about a dad who has to find more time for himself. He's insecure about his wife's a great businesswoman, and he's makes all his partying. And the first 40 minutes of this film is actually really funny. and it makes a bit of sense, like his insecurities, his mates clearly lying about how great he is and about how the time he's having, and he's trying to play being a younger guy when he's an older guy.
Yeah, but we've all got a friend like that, right?
I hope so. I want a friend like that. Anybody who turns up my house for a party,
you know the guy that's like living beyond his means, still partying at 44.
I wish. What? Who parties at 40? I don't know anybody who's still partying.
Well, none of us now.
I wish. If
I tried to party. I tried to party the other week and I had a 3-day hangover, so I'm not going back there.
And so Kevin Hart plays Sonny Fisher, Mark Wahlberg plays Huck Dembo, and Regina Hall plays his successful wife. The kids in this are great, which is they're played by let's see, where is he? Che Tafari, and then the sisters Amanetti Sledge, both brilliant, and I give them a lot of credit. They carry a lot of the comedy at certain points in this, and they're really, really good. Outside of that, yeah,
they're good one-liners, those kids.
Yeah, there's some standout performances, but for some reason, about 40 minutes into this film, somebody stops writing. I'm sure, like, they just got to a point where they stopped writing, and it just goes in this direction.
Well, it's like, we've seen this movie before from here. Let's just carry on with somebody else's film.
And even though it's funny at points, it doesn't. It makes so little sense that you're like, why am I watching? What is going on here? There's too much foolishness in it that I don't care if it's a comedy film or not. Person would be going to jail. Yeah, somebody would be going to jail for some of the shit they pull, or at least getting shot. And it just gets really, really silly. And Big Dave, you noticed something that I didn't pick up on, which sort of showed that this film was made at different times. Like certain scenes were filmed in one place, and other films must have been done in another place. Because Mark Wahlberg suddenly goes from being super buff to like really
super
gaunt.
Nothing. He went really gaunt. I was like, why has he lost so much weight?
And it's just a weird. I don't want to I'm not dissing.
Well, it's like they said, we've got to do a load of retakes or something, and he's just like, really skinny.
The second half of the film, and when I say it makes no sense, it's like if any of this, I don't know, like nobody's behaving like they would in a real world, but it's real world issues at heart, and it's like, I don't know. Look, I'm sorry for the spoiler, but there's just a scene when they go crazy at some dude's house and they poo on his bed, right? They take his shoes out of his wardrobe and they accidentally run over a small animal. And it's like, what is this craziness? And like, they drop the animal off at a shelter.
This guy's meant to be like a billionaire or multi-millionaire. Why does he not have CCTV and stuff like that inside his house? It was really weird.
Well, no, he did.
No, he had the one little camera outside, but there was nothing inside.
Yeah, but what I didn't get was, why didn't they figure he'd have a camera? Do you know what I mean? It's like, you're there committing criminal acts. Why didn't you think that he might have cameras somewhere?
And they'll go by Uber.
It's all sorts of stupidness like that. And I'm just like, it takes you out of the film and it spoils it to a large degree, to the point that when it gets to the finale,
there was no need for any of that scene.
Yeah, I'm telling you, they literally.
You could have deleted the whole of that scene. That whole 10 minutes, you could have said, right, that's just 10 minutes we didn't need.
It's the type of scene that if it was in the 80s and it was, let's see, Eddie Murphy, it would have been a major scene. Let's go into the boat, rescue my friend, get off. No, anyway. But yeah, it just nonsense, absolute nonsense of a movie. Hurt my feelings. If I'm gonna give it a rating, it's a film with two halves, but I'm giving it a 4 because I think I'll give it a 4 for the first 40 minutes because they were good. I mean, Dave chuckled a fair bit during the first 40 minutes, but after that,
well, like we said, it said if this film doesn't make us laugh, then we're not gonna
Yeah.
We're just going to turn it off. And fair enough, there was some chuckable moments. But apart from that, there was no like constant laughter. It wasn't like proper comedy, was it? So.
Yeah, and it's just a shame because Kevin Hart's a funny man. Mark Wahlberg, funny guy. Hey, I'm a funny guy. I'm here doing my thing, huh? Well, he's a funny guy. But this film's just an abysmal disaster, and it deserves to just not be seen again.
Who wants to make a quick 20 million?
Yeah, and that's the problem. I think Netflix needs to put if you're going to put again comedies out there, you need to put more pressure on the writers because that's some lazy writing right there, and it's very disappointing. And especially after it opened so well, like there's some scenes in there where it's like that's such a good scene, like when his wife walks in on him.
Oh yeah,
yeah. There's scenes like that that are really, really good. And the second half of the film, it just takes away from it. And I don't know why they went down that direction, but please don't do it again. Right, here we go. So next up, let's do the House of the D. House of the D. Have you seen the latest episode?
Yeah, I watched it this morning at 6 o'clock.
I didn't. I watched it. I watched it at work. I haven't watched it on the big screen yet. But I was worried about this episode that it was going to start getting boring.
Nah,
fool me!
Yeah, fool you. It went the opposite direction, didn't it?
Fool my dumb ass. I sat there thinking I'd be able to watch this stuff and it'll be fine. Nope. No.
The last 20 minutes are epic.
Yeah, they upped it, and again, just look, it's House of the D. That's all you need to know. It's a different thing from Game of Thrones, especially with battle scenes, because in Game of Thrones they only ever actually show you a few battles. In this one, it's the first time in a lot I've seen a lengthy battle.
Especially with the dragons and stuff.
Yeah. And you see the power of the dragons, and you see why the Targaryens are actually a badass group of people. It's not just because of the dragons. The dragons are only part of it, but the Targaryens are actually more like Westeros's version of Captain America's. They're physically more apt. They're fighters. They're born to fight, and the dragons are like backup.
The princes.
Yeah, the dragons are like backup, and it works really, really well. The start of the episode, the politics, the tension that's being built around all the politics going on is impressive. And I feel a sense of danger for certain people in this now, and it's worrying. And actually, the character I feel the most for is probably one of the ones that's going to go down the hardest. And that's the Hightower girl who was pimped off to the king. Because she don't want none of this. She clearly doesn't want any of this. She doesn't want any pain. She doesn't want to hurt anybody, but she's being made to do things she doesn't necessarily want to do.
Who?
And I think that's the daughter.
Oh. They're not going to kill her off.
Well, look, she is literally now in competition with his daughter. It's let me get the name of it. Well, yeah, her best friend who no longer sees her as a best friend, and she's trying her best to help her out. Like she gives the king the best advice, in spite of what her father says to her. So when her dad says, tell him to make your son king, she's like, let your daughter marry if she wants. If she's gonna do whatever one day, just let her roll.
She's gonna marry them that night, isn't she?
I don't think so. I don't think she'll be allowed. She may do because things that she can.
So or she might run off and marry his brother.
Nah,
because there's a lot of incest going on in this program. So,
well, there was in the other episode. They got blatant with it, didn't they? It was like she's 12 years old, blah. It's Lady Alicent Hightower. So I think she's actually in a lot of danger, and it'll be interesting to see what happens to her. And you've got what Rhaenyra Targaryen. She's shrewd, man.
She's gonna become a badass. That one, I'm telling you.
Yeah. Well, in this episode, she didn't mess around, man. She did not mess around, and she has some standout scenes in this that set her as being the queen. And I don't think they're going to remove. I don't know. I just think it's
well, you
going to
never
be
know in
interesting
this
to see what
program.
happens.
Game of Thrones, they'll just kill off anyone. They don't care.
Yeah, and but that's the beauty of it. I think it really, really.
I mean,
works,
Matt
and I'm
Smith.
certainly
I thought they were going to bump him off in this episode.
True, and then
I
Matt
thought, oh
Smith
my
gets
god,
the
they
best.
just bumped him off. But
Matt Smith,
no
gets
spoilers.
The best. he gets the best scene in this episode 3, and again, pat on the back to him. He does it really, really well. As to whether is it a good episode, yeah, watch it. Yep, the action, the storytelling. It's Game of Thrones.
It starts off slow, doesn't it? And then bam, it hits you.
And this is why I think there's, this is why it's the best high fantasy out there, and why it literally stands apart from anything else that's come before. Whether it's stuff like Wheel of Time, or even
your new favorite program,
Power of Rings, Rings of Power. It stands apart from them in its brilliance because it's so one grounded, but two, there's a sense of real danger, and there's a lot less wish fulfillment. I don't know if, and it's a lot less. Like I said, when people talk about films like Star Wars or whatever, and like Marvel films, they're all wish fulfillment. So your hero, who doesn't actually have that much skill, doesn't actually have that much power, suddenly is able to get hold of that power and then save the world, save the princess, save the. This doesn't do that. It's not about that, and I think that's why it connects to the audiences so well. And I think that's why I think it's going to remain top dog. People comparing the two, but Rings of Power is a family show. It's one you can sit down with your kids, put them on your lap, and they can watch Rings of Power. Whereas Game of Thrones, Hot D, you can't do that. Do you know what I mean? It's not. You struggle to sit down and watch it with your parents half the time, let alone with a family. So I think I'm definitely it's. By the end of this season, I expect it to definitely be around the 8 or 10 mark. I don't think it's going to drop that much at all. I think it's only 8 episodes, so we'll see.
I think it's only going to get better. Because
you
know what's going to happen. They're going to start bumping off people soon.
Yeah. Well, somebody's got
there's going to be that moment where you go, oh my God, no, not that person. Like they did with Sean Bean in Game of Thrones. Yeah. Main character, boom, off of his head. No,
I'm with you. I think it's definitely somebody's going to go.
There is going to be a shock moment, and you're going to say, no way.
Yeah, I hope so. So yeah, we have all of that to come, and I'm looking forward to it. So catch the 3rd episode. At the moment, it's like, oh God. It's been a long day. At the moment, it's around an 8 for me. I'm struggling not to give it a 10 yet, because I don't want to wait until the end of the season.
I don't think it's 10 worthy yet. I think you're right. It's around that 8, 9 mark.
It's
one of those. Unlike C, it's one of those you go, oh, I can't wait for the next episode.
Yeah, oh, definitely. It's the only reason I've still got Now TV, and it's the only reason I'll continue to Now TV for a little while longer, because that is a great show, and that alone, it's one of the best shows on TV by far. Right, so on to our final one. What time are we at? Right, our final one. Right, I'm gonna say that the Rings of Power has arrived on Amazon after a couple of years of production. I think it was at least 3 years because of COVID that it stretched out. After at least a year's worth of hate campaign by certain people who didn't like either Amazon having it or the sight of small back dwarves in a world of dragons and all the rest of it. They didn't like black dwarves. After all of that, it's come to Amazon Prime. It's hit 25 million people watched the first 2 episodes, which makes it Amazon Prime's biggest hit. But the question remains: is it any good? Tell me the side. It's Big Dave. Big Dave. Did the
Is it any
rings
good?
touch your ring? Did you enjoy it? Whether or not it's good,
I think it's
did you
very,
enjoy
very
it?
slow. It's very
Mm.
slow. Very, very slow. I didn't turn it off.
And just for the
So
record,
that's a good start.
Okay. And
But
just for the record, just so people know, you're not into high fantasy and stuff like that. It's not like you don't read any books.
No, I don't read stuff. I don't play games.
Well, no,
and
you
stuff like
read.
that,
You just don't read.
No, I don't read that much now, but I used to as a kid. And I read all the books, the original books. I didn't read these books. These are prequels, aren't they? So, but I don't know. It's very slow. There's not enough action, and there's too much politics involved.
Okay.
And I just don't get what the giant is at the moment. Is he bad? Is he good? Is he an orc? I don't know.
We shall see.
You know, no one likes the elves, even though they're the best characters in it.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. It might be a grower, but at the moment, it's very. It's over an hour an episode.
Yeah.
So being slow, that hour really drags out. And it feels like an hour and a half, 2 hours.
It may sometimes seem like me and Dave disagree about a lot of stuff, right? And that me and Dave argue about a lot of stuff. But let me tell you this. I love doing these reviews with Dave because I love getting Dave's opinion on stuff. Because sometimes you can get caught up in the bollocks too much.
And he's right for once.
No.
Sorry.
You can get caught up in the bollocks too much. And because Dave's not as deep into this type of stuff as maybe I get, it's nice to get a different point of view. Because if you spend too much time online, you can get caught up in your own bollocks. You can get caught up in your own opinions. And you can sometimes turn to other people and dismiss their opinions. But
how much did they spend in each show?
I don't know. I think
it's got to be around 40 to 50 million a show, isn't it?
I think we're talking a lot more than that.
Well, there you go. And I can't see the quality of it. When you look at the quality of Game of Thrones.
Can I tell you something? I think you need to change the settings on your TV. And I'll tell you why in a second, right? Because I just realized something. Now, I noticed the quality on it, right? Because it looks a lot like the whole old, what was it? The Lord of the Rings on that came out. It looks, I think the quality, I think I saw the quality, right? I think I saw where the money went to. I can understand why people.
The money went on the 360-degree sets.
Well, the sets were good though, weren't they?
No, the sets are good, but it's everything beyond the set that you see on the green screen and stuff like that is very poor.
Okay, again, we'll come back to that in a second. But okay, let me give you my.
So you're spending all that money, get the best to film the best.
I think
you know,
did. I honestly think they did.
I think
I think for me,
you've got high contrast. You turn it right up.
Maybe I was too excited about the whole thing, but I really enjoyed the first episode because I was like, "Oh, that looks really good. That looks tasty. Oh, that looks good." And the second episode, absolute brilliance as far as I'm concerned. It's no Game of Thrones, and I say this because again, Game of Thrones is written as a really well-grounded show. And this is a series where it's about good and evil, and it makes good and evil seem very straightforward. It makes the idea.
Yeah, but these are all based on books as well.
Yeah.
So why aren't they written as well?
No, I don't think they're not written as well. I just think they're written differently. Like this is The Hobbit's a kid's book, yeah. So it's the how far it takes it is very limited.
Yeah, but why have the Hobbits suddenly got Irish accents?
Oh, because they're the precursors to the Hobbits. They're not Hobbits.
Oh, what? So they lose their so they lose their accent.
Yeah,
as they go through generation to generation.
Yeah, the Harfoots are like traveling. They're like traveling hobbits. They're not as small as hobbits, and they travel around. They're not like, and they're
so they're trying to be pikeys. Is that what you're saying? So you're trying to say a pikey has to be.
I wouldn't use such an insulting term.
Well, this is what it's portraying, though, isn't it?
I just don't want to get sued. And
No, but it's portraying that though, isn't it? Right. So
well,
they're
yeah,
portraying
but
travelers. So
they're
suddenly
a
they have to have
mixture.
an Irish accent because they're travelers.
Well, yeah, that's
That's
a
all
good
wrong,
call.
isn't it?
All right. But I would
That's
say,
racist.
well, that's the whole problem with books like this. Again, when you're
So
dealing with
but
high
I'm going to get on the
fantasy,
hate crimes now with all these people on Twitter, aren't I?
no. Oh, they'll love you. Look, I think as with all high fantasy, it's really hard to do, especially when you directly introduce things like magic and gods and all the rest of it. And Lord of the Rings is really about that. And I think that's part of the problem with it. If you, and I've always said this about the original films, Peter Jackson had to cut a lot of stuff out and add a lot of stuff in just to make it presentable for the screen. Because these books are like Bibles. Not, you don't mess around when you read the Lord of the Rings. It's a thick book. And it's a lot about music. It's poetic. It's got music in it. It's got superb descriptions of the land. It's a boy's own adventure in a lot of ways. And one of the big problems with Lord of the Rings, it is a boy's own adventure. There's hardly any women in the books. They're mentioned, but you hardly see any women in the books. And again, that's a bit of a problem with these sort of old-fashioned high fantasy stories. But the other big problem is the fandom. Like I said, it's been under a sustained 12-month hate campaign because somebody didn't like to see black dwarves in it. So it must have been a bit of a shock when Lenny Henry popped up as a heir for.
Well, I think that's a shock for everyone that Lenny Henry popped up.
But if
a
was
Brummie playing an Irishman, very good there. Whoever wrote that one.
If I was to say anything about the show, I think that it's got a great deal of potential. I certainly think the special effects and the look superb. I think again it struggles and it's going to suffer from that wish fulfillment type storytelling, which I don't think it's its fault. That's just the type of story these are. They're about people, heroes coming out of nowhere, about good and evil and all the rest of it. And it's going to be interesting, like you said, Dave, to find out who these various characters are, because there's lots of rumors. Some people think it's Gandalf. Some people think it's Sauron. Some people, there's hints of these characters in there, but we'll see. That's part of the adventure. I think it's a really good show. I absolutely enjoyed it. It can't beat Hot Knee. I'm sorry. Hot Knee is just too good to show.
And I think that's ruining it as well, is the fact that they've come out at the same time.
I think it's good because it gives an alternative. And I'll be watching both of those shows. And at the end of the season, I think I may end up enjoying Rings of Power a lot more, just because it's such traditional.
You would do, because that's your sort of nerdum.
No, it's just because it's more traditional high fantasy, and I think Game of Thrones takes itself far too seriously sometimes. But I may enjoy them just as much as each other because they've got a great cast. They've got some great, like I said, some great scenes in each of these shows. They each have their own value. And 25 million on the first episode isn't bad. Doesn't actually beat Lord of the
So, but what's going to happen? Well, you don't know what's going to happen next, though, do you?
I don't care.
So when it happens this week, that viewing figure can go right down to 10 million.
It honestly wouldn't matter to me. I'm like, it's all about how good the show is. And hopefully, in the next season, they'll keep up the standard of quality. What I do say to everybody who's watching these shows, especially Rings of Power, because this show's in really high definition, is check your TV settings. I've done mine, and basically with a lot of modern TVs, they've got features which make the picture almost too sharp, and make it so it takes you out of the actual place what you're looking at.
So in other words, take off your UHD and then just watch it in
no. You leave it in high
def.
definition. You leave it in high definition. I think you reduce the it's something called motion blur.
Why have you got to do all this? You shouldn't have to do all this.
They set it up. So when they set up all new TVs, they set it up for normal television. They're not set up to watch cinematic films on, and that's a problem with them. And there's
you put it in cinema mode and it should change it all. Or in sports mode, you change it all.
No, cinema
because ours changes. If I push cinema, sport, or whatever, it changes the sound, the picture, everything.
No. cinema mode won't cut it with this because again, it's these TV shows are made in such high definition that if you
You've
have
seen
the
my
motion
TV,
blur,
Curtis. It's one of the best.
I know I'll play around with the
So,
settings at some point when I get.
I don't
there
need you
again.
to play around my
And,
settings. Play around my TV. Trust
but
me, it's
like
Amazon.
I said, check your settings, and if you can remove stuff like I think it's the. I'll check it in a future episode for you. But it's like motion blur, and the contrast. Take that down, and I think you change the sharpness of the picture a bit,
Yeah,
and
and
it
then you
should
change
give you
this,
how.
so you change that, and you up the volume and put
And it
sunglasses on.
should.
And...
It's so cynical, and it
Well, you
should
shouldn't
give
have to
you
do
a
all this to
more.
watch a TV
It
program.
should give you a more cinematic view. I know you shouldn't, but I'm just saying if you want to enjoy what you're watching more, and I'm not
Write a better
like I
script.
said, but at the moment,
And then no one will care about
I'm-
the background, you know?
At the moment, I'm really enjoying it, so I'm giving it my 8 at the moment.
Well,
and,
you will do. You watch the whole of The
hopefully-
Expanse, you and 2 other people.
What, the Emmy Award winning, highly rated, best rated sci-fi of all time on television, Expanse. Yes, Dave.
Yeah,
I
it's that
watched
one.
that. Where's Happy Dave gone? Okay, I'm meant to be
Happy
the
Dave.
cranky one.
Happy Dave watched Game of Thrones.
Hot D. It's Hot D, Dave. Hot D.
All right, Hot D.
Um,
You couldn't say Hot D. That's quite bad.
This is perfectly fine. Right, so that's it, ladies and gents. I hope you enjoyed it. We'll be back again, hopefully next week or the week after. We don't know. We're men of podcast leisure, and we'll do as and when we see fit. Or if there's some good news in between, we'll jump in with that. We are
Someone
looking to
releases
do
a better
special.
film.
Well, we are looking to do a special of Only Murders in the Building, so we'll try and get to work on that for you.
Are we?
Which is still, yes, we're going to make that happen. Which is still my favorite
It
show.
finished like 3 weeks ago.
That doesn't matter. We can do. Hey, we're podcasting Men of Leisure Day. We do a podcast.
So were they.
But either which way, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back for more. This was the latest edition. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, this is the latest edition of The Boys from Bossk. We hope you have a great night and enjoy the rest of the evening. This show was a presentation by the new establishment with your hosts, Happy Dave and CJ. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you soon. Have a good night.
Good night.